What's up? It's Dinner Roadshow, episode 97, first episode of 2024. I think that's a made-up year. I don't feel like it doesn't sound right.
Well, we're definitely not in it. I don't think it's happening now.
We're in it. I don't know what it is. We're in something. There's a weirdness, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's almost like not necessarily like a vacuum, but it's like some kind of like a vortex. Like things have been getting like maybe not progressively weirder, but like things have been off to a weird start.
Well, that's how I feel when I sit down and record this podcast.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. But that's me doing that on purpose, at least.
Sometimes it's hard to tell.
Maybe. But like there's like some weird miasma to 2024. You know what I mean?
Sure.
There's a funk to
I'm
it.
less online than you are, and I think that might contribute to why I'm not feeling exactly the same.
I'm trying to be less because I think it's actually doing like severe psychic damage. Like I turned 30 and now I'm like, ooh, this is like actually hurting. like
physically.
Like what I'm looking at is no, like psychologically, like spiritually, like what I'm seeing is like, ooh, like before where I would just like sort of power through it. You know, it's like all this shit about how like all this AI shit that I read where I'm just like, oh, well, this is dumb. But like the more shit that I'm reading is just like, oh, I need to just like sort of toss the phone away for a little bit. It's like where I'm at now. It's like a switch flipped in me.
And in the physical world, I step outside and things are pretty uninhabitable lately.
Uh-huh. It's fucking cold out there.
It really is.
Yeah. So I don't know. Something, it's icky. And we're going to talk a little bit about how icky it is. But first, I got some dead letters. Well, I guess, yeah, there's a couple dead letters, but unfortunately, they're the same dead letter. Because this dude keeps emailing me. You remember our good buddy John, right?
Oh, how could I forget?
Who wanted to potentially be on the podcast or just wanted to talk, or really he wanted apparently some kind of response. So this was his latest, which I got 2 weeks ago. It's like, I'm just following up on the 2 emails that I sent a while back, because the week previously he sent another email. And I believe the first one was like November, maybe. I don't remember when that first one was.
He's keeping score.
But he really is, because like, yeah, just following up on the 2 emails I sent.
Was 2 like bold and underlined?
No, it's not actually. But then it's like the same thing. All his info about his conspiracy theorist survival guide. And I didn't do this before, but now I'm like, we looked at it on Amazon before, because I was like, oh, does he have it on Amazon? But then I forgot that he actually sent me a copy of the book. And so just before we started recording, I did open it. And I have no interest in reading its actual contents, but I just wanted to look at the copyright page, because maybe just as a publisher, this is more interesting to me than like maybe the average person.
I was going to say this is very, yeah, that's exactly it.
Where I want to know what he puts in his copyright page.
You open up the conspiracy theorist book from the stranger sending you emails, and you go right to the copyright page.
Yeah. But well, so like when I was a kid, I would always look at the copyright pages of things. Because I would always find it interesting, which I didn't know what they were called at the time, but the BISAC codes of books, where it would actually like tell you like what specific genres that the publisher identified the book as, and where they would get like very specific. I always thought that was fascinating.
Yeah, I would look at that page to see what year the book came out.
Sure, yeah. There's lots of information in there, and so anyway, so I decided to take a look at this. And so, copyright 2023, John Kerwin, Kerwin Republic 321 LLC Publishing. I think he can condense that a little bit. I think his LLC can be condensed. Like, if it's just an LLC, you don't need to tack on publishing at the end of it.
I didn't know this was a critique.
I'm an editor. I have to do that. You know, 321 is obviously just a throwaway. Republic is very interesting, especially because of this part that comes in later. All rights reserved, no part may be used or reproduced, blah, 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 blah. For permission requests, contact John Kerwin. He doesn't put a period there. Printed in the United States of America, and then in parentheses, he puts Republic. Did he have to specify that? Do you have to put in? I've never seen I've never seen anybody put in what the form of government the location of a work being published in is. For more information or book, contact John Kerwin at pleasewakeup@gmail.com.
That's pretty good.
Uh-huh.
I'm surprised that wasn't taken, actually.
So what's weird is that I thought his previous email was wakeuporelse@gmail.com. And this one says, please wake up or else.
Oh, please wake up or else. Okay. I thought it was please wake up @gmail.com.
It's a little threatening. And so I think his old account might have gotten banned. And so he put the please in there. So now it's sort of it's more of a request than a threat. But then it does say or else. So I don't know. It's a little. And then this part, which I think is the most fascinating bit of all, because why the fuck do you need to say this? The author is not a sovereign citizen or associated with the sovereign citizen movement in any way. I am non-combatant, non-belligerent.
Well, it's funny because I actually was questioning that, especially after putting Republic in parentheses. Like I wasn't sure what this person's like worldview is or view of, the country or anything like that. So I kind of, appreciate the clarification there.
Yeah. But also if you call your LLC a republic, then you have to make it a point of noting that the United States is a republic. Mm-hmm. And then you're saying, oh, by the way, I'm not a sovereign citizen. I'm not a sovereign citizen. And I'm also not violent.
Yeah, the violent part is
copyright section
is strange. Well, it's all strange, but.
And then he has a warranty here. Like it's okay. The author has made a best effort to provide accurate information in regard to the subject matter covered. The author makes no representations or warranties with respect to the accuracy or completeness of the contents of this book and specifically disclaim any implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. What does that fucking mean?
I was hoping you would tell me.
No, any implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. No warranty may be created or extended by sales representatives or written sales materials. The advice and strategies contained herein may not be suitable for your situation. You should consult with a professional when appropriate.
Are we sure this isn't just
for what?
This isn't just like fake, like legal speak?
The author shall not be liable for any losses or damages. Okay.
Okay.
That one is. You should consult with a professional when appropriate. A professional what? A professional for what? No content is considered to be legal, comma. Just that clause on its no content is considered to be considered legal, financial, or tax advice. You could really, he did not use an Oxford comma here, and he could really fucking use one. Holy shit. All statements made by the author are for educational and entertainment purposes only. Those are two very different things. All Bible quotes are from the World English Bible, WEB, which is in the public domain and has no copyright restrictions. The World English Bible is based on the American Standard Version of the Holy Bible, first published in 1901, worldenglish.bible. If it's in the public domain, you don't need to put this. Also, yeah, it's the Bible. Oh, man. I don't know. Maybe only I find that fascinating, but...
No, because like it does speak to, I mean, I don't know what it says specifically, but it speaks to this person's mentality, I think.
Yeah. So there are, let's see, how many chapters does this have? This has 13 chapters.
Okay.
Okay. But it has sections. No, wait. Okay. So the contents is broken down into sections, but there's only one section. Holy God. His syntax is all fucked up. His nomenclature. So section 1 is called Inside the Minds of Truthers, and there are then broken down further into chapters. Then there are subheadings, which are a page to a couple pages each. This one, Cognitive Dissonance and I'd Rather Not See, Thank You, are less than a page because they're both on the same page. They're both on page 26.
Can I just ask, like, what were you expecting, though?
I don't know.
Okay. I'm just like, we know the subject matter here. We know we have the emails. I just don't know. You were expecting like a polished, well-edited manuscript here.
Oh, here we go. It does have section 2. Okay. Section 2, which is not, it's in a smaller font because he fucked that up. Inside the Mind of the Unconvinced.
It's a bit of a catchy title.
Section 3, Guidance for Truthers.
That's less catchy.
Yeah. This section, I'm just scrolling. This one's just a really bad It's not a chapter. It's, I guess, one of the subheadings. We are living in the movie They Live.
I don't get the reference.
I think it's a John Carpenter movie.
Oh, all right.
But it's we are they. Because we are living.
Did this guy write for The Walking Dead?
Because you refuse to recant. Normies are like incompetent detectives. Oh, here we go. The truther's correct response to tyranny. And then this next subheading here, COVID-19 vaccination recommendations for children. Nice. I trust this man.
What are the recommendations? I'm curious.
Let's see. I would have to scroll to page... shit, I lost it. 254.
I saw the chapter numbers and I was like, this could be like a breezy afternoon read, you know, just devour it in one sitting type thing, but maybe not.
Pharaoh's orders got worse over time, and that's what we're seeing now. The CDC now recommends COVID-19 vaccinations for everyone ages 6 months and older, and boosters for everyone ages 5 years and older if eligible. And then he cites the CDC.gov website. So let's take our cue from the godly response of the Hebrew midwives.
Oh, no, I'm sorry I asked. I really am. I didn't mean for this.
Shit. I call this the Hebrew national hot dog moment. What the fuck?
I think we need to pivot soon.
I think yeah. Yeah. But once again, he did send it to the email for a podcast I no longer operate. So that's fun for him.
And once again, just completely missing the point of said podcast.
Of this podcast, yeah. But I guess he can keep emailing. I mean, yeah, should have gotten an editor. We're already here, but how about some Mountains of Madness?
Mountains of Madness.
Excellent. So I made an impulse purchase over the holiday season. I bought one of those VR headsets.
Oh, which one?
The Quest 3.
Interesting. Oh, so you already have a Facebook.
I do, but as it turns out, it doesn't matter because I was worried about all this. I was worried about, you know, the Facebook data tracking, all that kind of shit. Still am. Don't get me wrong. But they divorced their stupid Meta accounts from your Facebook account. And so I, of course, didn't have a Meta account because why would I? So whenever I set up the headset, I had to make one of those. And so I'm not tying that to my Facebook page.
Sure. Or
my Instagram page, which I also don't have connected to my Facebook page. So that's fine.
Yeah. Well, how is the device?
So this is my first time using VR. And so this could have easily been a mistake because I could put it on and then just get nauseous. And then it's like, well, this was dumb. And it's quite good. It's quite immersive. But the way I'm going about it is that like I'm using so little of the services that come on the headset itself because like I don't want to give Meta my credit card, you know, like so I'm just using it with Steam. But yeah, it's quite immersive. The only like standalone thing that I tried was the game that they give you for free with the headset, which is supposed to be this Norse mythology inspired. Calling it a game is being generous. It's more like it's like a roller coaster ride sometimes, but also it barely functioned. So it's called Valhalla, something Norsey, something like that.
And it's meant to be like a tech showcase.
I think it's supposed to be a full game. Because if you, I guess, have another headset or you bought it secondhand or something and you didn't get it for free, it costs $60.
Oh, wow.
Nobody should ever pay $60 for this thing. Because if it's the first thing you do with the VR, you're going to be like, well, this sucks ass. And of course, you boot it up and it says developed by Meta Oculus Studios.
That's kind of wild to me because if I'm remembering correctly, PlayStation VR, the first experience is like the Astrobot game, which is like incredibly polished and just like a wonderful showcase of like the tech.
Well, I think that just shows the difference, right? Like that's PlayStation being able to make games.
Sure. Oh, yeah, for sure.
As opposed to a floundering social network company.
It's just crazy they wouldn't outsource
VR tech. Right. Yeah. But So you boot it up. It shows you Meta Oculus Studios. Then it has to load in the shaders. You've already downloaded the game. Then it has to like preload and cache the shaders. And so you're in blackness while you have a bar loading in at the bottom. This took at least 5 real world minutes.
Whoa, just being in pitch black?
Just being in pitch black.
That's incredible.
And yeah, so that was a bad start. And then it's like, do you want to play the game or do you want to catch up on the first game? Because this is a sequel, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that.
Wow.
It's Thor's Grundle 2 or whatever the hell. And so I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. Because it also said like that would be the tutorial. And so the first thing it does is gives you a skeleton jump scare in the pitch black, which I wasn't expecting. It did get me because I wasn't expecting this to have any horror elements to it. And I was so used to being in the pitch black with the loading bar that I wasn't expecting anything to pop up. So that got me a little bit.
Yeah, but that's a very bad jump scare if it relies on 5 full minutes of a loading screen to get you.
Yeah. Then you have to hop on the back of a giant bird.
Okay. That sounds promising.
Yeah, well, I wasn't, I guess, putting my hands in the right place and hitting the button. So it took me like a minute and a half to actually latch onto the bird. And then once you're on the bird, it is just a slideshow, basically, while you're in like a roller coaster of the bird.
Oh, that sounds awful.
It tells you this bullshit story about these gods or whatever and what you did as the player in the first game. Oh,
okay. It's the recap. Okay.
It's the recap. And then you're just then I got to a point where I was able to skip that because it kept going. I was like, I want to do something. I want to play.
Did you
like a game?
Did you know this game existed prior to it coming up as an option to download?
I knew when I bought it that it came with some kind of game.
Okay.
But I didn't have a choice in the matter.
Yeah. I've never heard of it.
I could have not installed it, but I was like, well, it came for free. I figured, they want me to see it.
$60 game, what a deal.
Game.
What a deal.
Yeah. Then you get thrown into a tavern. And this is where one of my issues with VR start to come into play. You got some NPC talking to you. You can pick up the beer and sort of throw it around. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I could actually pick it up and throw it around, But then you get to the moving around part where it's like, oh, you need to talk to all the people in this room. And I'm like, okay.
And that's a chore, isn't it?
Well, that's a chore.
Traversal, I mean.
Oh, yeah, because I figured like, oh, well, let me just physically like spin around in my chair. And that wasn't cutting it. Mm-hmm. I literally had to use the stick to move. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, this might be where I get nauseous. Like, because this is like movement that's divorced from my physical body.
Yes. I haven't played VR since the early days, like the first PSVR system. But
yeah.
The games that I was able to stick with for longer stretches of time, as someone who does get motion sick pretty easily, were the ones that were on rails and didn't require you to move. You could look in all directions, but you didn't have to physically move on your own.
Interesting.
And the ones that I got sick very quickly from were like, Skyrim is a major example because that one they had different types of like traversal options and none of them really, even the ones that were meant to limit motion sickness still hit me pretty hard pretty quickly.
So we'll get to Skyrim.
Oh, okay. Okay. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I'm in this fucking bullshit tavern. I can't move around with my physical body, even though it's VR. Mm-hmm. I have to use the stick to move. But the way that you look around is with the right stick, but you don't have free camera movement. It's like a dungeon crawler where you only get like, this is your 90 degrees. This is your 90 degrees.
I don't like that.
But the 90 degrees doesn't line up with the digital space. So nothing is like how in a dungeon crawler, everything's basically all right angles. Mm-hmm. Like, it's like Doom kind of,
sure.
Like the original Doom where it's like, it's all square. It's all rectangles, right? But this space isn't that. So like I turn the right stick. I'm not turning 90 degrees once. I'm turning some set distance. That's not like flush to the world, if that makes sense.
It does, yeah.
And then I can kind of crane my head and look around, but only in this little view like that they've given me. And so I can sort of move around. It's sort of like whenever you give a controller to somebody that has never played games before and they don't really understand that left is to move the body of the character and right is to move the camera. And so they just kind of bump into shit.
Yeah.
And they're sort of awkward. Like this is making you do that, but you have a first person perspective.
What's the title of the game again? I just want to get a feel. I want to take a look at.
I want to get the real title. Asgard something. Asgard's Wrath 2. Yeah. So I'll finish up on this one in a second.
10 out of 10 on IGN.
I don't know how the fuck.
I'm not kidding.
I don't know how the fuck.
Wow.
You get that.
This infinitely replayable game lets you explore miniature dungeon modules and become increasingly deadly. Yeah, 10 out of 10 review, IGN.
There's dungeons? I didn't even get that far. I had to stop.
Maybe you haven't broken into the real good parts.
Okay.
70-hour campaign.
What? No.
Am I looking?
VR game should be 70 hours.
Well, you're playing Skyrim, so wait, are we talking about the same game here? Because this is
unless they gave me some other game, they were talking about these Norse gods and shit. I don't know what else I would have.
No, this is very well received critically.
So I finished talking to the last person, and then their dialogue just finishes, and a nanosecond later, another giant bird crashes through the tavern.
Oh.
But the way that my body was facing because of the way I was talking to somebody,
you couldn't see it.
I just sort of heard something behind me. And so then I had to turn the stick like 3 or 4 times in order to face this giant bird. Then I'm in a set piece battle thing against the giant bird in a snowy wasteland. And now I have the worst combat controls I've ever felt in any game ever.
Reddit loves the melee combat, by the way.
Reddit does?
Yeah, just based on this little bit of research I'm doing on the fly here.
And so I have to pick up a sword from the ground, and then I have to kill the bird with it. But slashing attacks like just go through it, and so I have to poke it, even though it's not like a fencing sword or a rapier or anything like that. It's like a regular ass sword. But slashing at its neck, I'm like literally in its model. It's doing dick. It's doing nothing.
I'm just envisioning you with the VR headset on doing like a fencing move in like your bedroom. It's very funny.
Yeah. You could ask my brother. I looked fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. But that comes with the territory.
Yeah. It took fucking forever. Like half of my attacks weren't even connecting with the thing. It just felt awful and floaty and terrible. And then as soon as I finished that, I was like, all right. That's enough of this shit. So that was all I played.
Apparently, it's an open world game.
No.
And so I'm wondering, I'm wondering if you played through this very scripted intro and didn't get to the actual like heart of it, because based on
it's the worst first impression.
Yeah, it sounds imaginable. Like it. It could be a combination of a really bad first impression and then also, not being used to that type of control.
Yeah, but I've used fucking Wii Waggle before, like...
Sure. The new bar for VR.
Yeah, so then...
God of VR. It's pretty catchy.
Yeah, well, because it's the Norse shit.
Yeah.
So this was during the Steam Winter Sale, and... Are
you going to give... Before we move on, are you going to give this another shot, though? Because this is like...
Maybe.
Yeah, I think you should. Do you still have it downloaded?
I do, because I don't have anything else downloaded.
I would be curious to hear a follow-up if you were to go a little bit further and maybe get into like the world and stuff. Like in the next episode.
It's just crazy to me that this is a 70-hour game whenever the headset's battery is really bad.
Wait, can you use it plugged in? Does it have like a long cord and stuff?
It didn't come with one.
Oh.
They'll sell you one.
Well, yeah, because the whole point of it is to be completely like wire free, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is during the Steam sale, and so I bought, or no, actually, I forget which sibling it was. I'm sorry, but one of them got me Skyrim VR because it was like it was a few bucks,
Yeah, at this point, yeah.
Yeah. And so I tried that out, and it's weird because Skyrim VR came out before, like, I don't know how many re-releases of Skyrim ago.
Oh, no, it came out like years and years ago.
Yeah.
I want to say like 5, 6, maybe 7 years ago.
At least.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this was also me testing the just in November, I believe. It was either October or November. Steam just released a thing. It's like, hey, if you got a headset, we'll just stream wirelessly to it. And so now I don't have to rely on Oculus's proprietary wireless streaming to the headset. So I don't even have to install a fucking Meta app on my computer, which I'm happy with, well, as long as this worked. And I could not detect any latency when I played Skyrim. I mean, I was like a foot away from my computer, but it still has to go through like the router and everything.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah.
That's really impressive.
Like, oh man, I'm going to need to buy a cable. The Oculus One, they're trying to sell a fucking USB A to C cable for $70. I'm going to have to look into a cable that has the right bandwidth. That's not fucking $70.
And you're the king of cables.
Unfortunately, I am. And I'm like, oh man, I really don't want to be like tethered. Like that's kind of the whole point of this one, you know? And the wireless just works through Steam. It's really good.
Awesome.
Yeah. And so I played Skyrim. It doesn't look very good because it's Skyrim from, like 6-7 years ago. It's not like the special edition shit. After I played for a while, I just basically got out of the tutorial. I looked and it's like...
I couldn't make it past the giant spiders. That was the deal breaker for me, or at least the first deal breaker.
I remember you saying that. And so when I got there, I was like, oh yeah, no, these seem bigger than in the original game.
Yeah.
The spiders, at least. Like, I don't have arachnophobia or anything like that, so I just sort of shot fire at them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But again, like the sword combat felt really bad, but like it doesn't feel great in regular Skyrim anyway. But shooting fire out of your hands is pretty cool. That was fun. But here, so this, like you said, Skyrim has different movement options. So here you can either do the classic VR like teleporting, where you basically become an AoE attack.
Yeah. And
just sort of launch yourself like to a specific point.
Which I kind of hated, at least in its original like iteration.
I just tried it whenever the Skyrim tutorial, like the VR specific tutorial makes you. And I was like, well, this is dumb. This sort of breaks the immersion.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I tried regular controls, worried that I was going to get really sick doing that. But no, I could play it just fine. I could play it like it was a regular game.
Oh, good.
With movement, left stick, and then camera, right stick. So then I didn't even need to move my head at all, really. I could just like sit stationary.
Yeah.
Which I guess kind of defeats a bit of the purpose.
No, but you're still in the world.
Right. But it does this weird thing whenever you like... I think there was a setting that I could have changed, but then I would have had to restart the game and I didn't really feel like it. It does this weird thing where when you move the camera, it sort of gives you like tunnel vision. So like the edges of your vision on both sides just like encroach and get darker, but only while you're turning the camera.
Now that's another motion sickness sort of thing, right? I believe
so.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was like, well, I'm doing okay. And it's sort of like breaking me out of the immersion here.
Yeah.
And then I also looked afterwards. There's all kinds of mods and shit I can do to like make it look... Saying modern Skyrim sounds weird, but
yeah,
you know.
No, I know what you mean.
Yeah. And so then my other big thing was that this $500 piece of equipment comes with the cheapest head strap you could imagine.
That's kind of surprising to me.
It's surprising and it's pretty disgraceful.
Replaceable though?
Replaceable, yes. And so just last week I had to wait for it to come in because I guess there was this much demand for it. I bought a replacement strap. Well, like it's more like mounting, really, like foam mounting and everything. That is so much better. Holy shit! Like the original is basically just like nylon straps, almost for like a duffel bag, and it's really bad to adjust. Like I could get the headset to sit right on my face, but I could never get it to be comfortable on my head. And if it was a little too tight after I would get done with a session, I would be like, oh, I feel like my head is going to hurt because of this. Like my eyes are doing fine. You know, my face is a little sweaty, but like my head itself is going to hurt because of that stupid strap. But then this one I got, it has foam in the front and it takes more of the load off of your face and puts some onto your back because now there's foam on the back of it too. And it also has like an adjustable dial in the back as well, rather than just like you're just finagling with these straps trying to get something to feel okay. So it's way better. And it was only $50, which I feel like is not bad for like the amount of plastic and foam that it comes with. and it also has like a battery bank attachment to it, and it came with a battery, and so that just like loops in with USB-C, and so you can also just have an extra battery. It's supposed to give it like another like 45 minutes to an hour.
I mean, that's crucial time when jumping into Asgard's Wrath, you know.
Oh, sure. Yeah. But that's the other thing. So like the battery does suck. But like at the same time, I don't want to spend like that much fucking time in VR anyway. Like it's sort of more like a pick up and play at the moment for me. So yeah, like the battery sucks. Like I just have to charge it after every single session. So yeah, whatever. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I do like that I don't have to interact with meta systems except for whenever I log in and it tries to make me add strangers I've never met to my friends list.
Well, I was going to ask, so you're playing Steam games.
Yeah.
Does that just work natively, or did you have to do some maneuvering?
No, there's a Steam Link app in the Meta Store. You do that, and it's basically like setting up remote play for Steam Deck or like your phone.
See,
where you just like log in on Steam on your desktop.
I didn't need to know this because,
well,
you know, I just got a Steam Deck and I'm building a library, and I've also, like, if I were going to make another frivolous purchase, Steam Deck is already a frivolous purchase, but if I were to make another one, which I'm not,
I would disagree. The Steam Deck is very good.
It is, but as someone who, I mean, for the amount of games that I play, it's a bit overkill. It's a very cool device, but so I'm not making another large video game purchase, but I've really had my eye on the PSVR 2 ever since they released Resident Evil 4. I'm like, oh yeah, Resident Evil 4 remake, I should say. That's something I would really want to play in VR. Really that and like Gran Turismo, because in the first PSVR, Gran Turismo was the best looking VR game, but it was only a specific mode with a select number of tracks and cars. But in the new one, it's the entire game of Gran Turismo 7. So
yeah, if the PSVR 2 was wireless.
Yeah, I was going to say that
it would have been a no-brainer.
That's the big difference here. Yeah.
Yeah. Because like with this, I'm able to like tinker with shit. Like I said, I can mod Skyrim. I got Beat Saber, but I got the Steam version, which means I can just add in custom songs and shit instead of relying on buying song packs like it's in the Rock Band days. Like that's for chumps. You know they're doing that in Fortnite now. What? We haven't talked about this, but and I don't mean to derail you here, but I mean we're already.
So
I don't even know where we are.
Fortnite, as of like, I don't know, December, they had this big update. And so they got Psyonix, the Rocket League developers, to make a racing game called Rocket Racing.
Okay. Which
seems like, I don't know, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Because like the whole point of Rocket League is that it's soccer. Like they had something incredible. And obviously it still exists, Rocket League. But that was something very unique and no one else had done anything like it. And now you're just having them make a racing game. But so they have that, and you can download it standalone, but it's also in Fortnite. And then they had the Rock Band developers, Harmonix, is it? They made a new rhythm game, also in Fortnite. And then they had the Lego. I don't know who developed the Lego version of it, but there's like a whole Lego like survival Minecrafty type thing. In Fortnite as well. It's very, I would call it ambitious, but they have infinite money over there. So they've put a lot into it.
Even though they laid off like 1,000 people.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's basically like 3 full-size live service games in Fortnite, which was already a full-size live service game to begin with. And so what that means for the microtransactions, the shop, is you can get Rocket League skins and use them both in Rocket League and the racing game. And the point to this was you can now purchase songs to use in the Harmonix rhythm game, and you can part of the Fortnite shop now looks like the old Rock Band store.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. They've really
so this actually ties into sort of my like main point for even bringing this up in the first place.
Oh, perfect.
Like I didn't just want to talk about like, oh, I bought a stupid thing that I probably didn't need to buy. Like,
as fun as that is.
Yeah. What Epic has done is actually they've built the metaverse that Meta claimed they wanted to do.
That's so funny. Yeah, it's funny. It's true. Yeah.
Like But for Meta, it's such a fucking afterthought, even though they changed their goddamn name to it. Like, I set up the thing and I was expecting, okay, they're going to make me make my stupid little avatar guy, my Xbox 360 avatar, you know, all this shit. They're going to make me try to join in the Horizon, whatever the fuck. But I actually didn't have to do any of that. Like, it's there. Like, every time I log in, it has the stupid Horizon feed where it has a bunch of strangers that I've never met that I should add to my friends list. And it says the only reason why is because other people added them to their friends list. It's like, I don't know you. You know? Other
people as in people you know?
No.
Just other people out there in the world.
Other people.
Okay.
Yeah. But it has not once pestered me to make my avatar.
Well, okay, so maybe that feature, just going back to that feature, maybe that makes a lot more sense if you are connected through your main Facebook and all your Facebook friends are there, and then it gives you probably like algorithmic recommendations that make sense. Instead, you're starting fresh, right? So you're getting like complete strangers.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, it's such a fucking afterthought.
Yeah.
On the thing that's like meant to like combine all this shit, you know?
Whereas Fortnite,
this is where you should see your Facebook friends.
Yeah.
They're in this world and you hop into their world and go hang out with them virtually. It's like you can just completely ignore all that shit.
And nobody was doing it in the first place.
Of course.
Fortnite is a game that a lot of people play and like, and then they took developers that they have bought out over the years and had them develop games that both fit within that and also play to their strengths.
Well, yeah, because they turned Fortnite into a lobby and launcher now.
Yeah, it's an entire platform on its own. Yeah,
it's a platform. Yeah, it's a platform where kids go and hang out. Like, I actually saw, I don't know what update of Fortnite this was, where it was some video I saw. It was just like a bit of a video where like kids were saying that they were nostalgic for Fortnite, I don't know, 2.0 or something.
So yeah, so what they did right before this big like sort of relaunch is they had a shorter season that was called OG Fortnite, and they brought back the original map. That's probably what that's referring to.
Yeah, sure. Even though that was like 3 years ago.
Closer to
you know what I mean.
Closer to 6.
Okay, fine.
Isn't that crazy?
Even so,
but yeah,
like,
I know what you mean.
But yeah, like, it's an entire platform. It's an entire now ecosystem. Like, this is what this is what Meta wanted. This is what these stupid cryptocurrency douches wanted. Why would you need a cryptocurrency whenever Epic has V-Bucks? Why would you need some fucking blockchain shit when you exchange real money for fake digital money that makes you spend more real money?
Yeah.
Battle Pass, V-Bucks. Now buy some fucking songs. Buy more shit. Spend more time in this lobby. Spend more time in this digital space.
If it wasn't so sinister, it's kind of fun.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because at the tail end of it, you do have people making a game.
Yes.
If the game wasn't fun, then nobody would do anything.
No, these are terrific developers and a publisher with infinite money. So
yeah, but it's just so funny to see the complete opposite of like the stated goals. Like, I think only the Epic CEO has said like the words metaverse, you know? Like, they don't like promote that. Meanwhile, Meta changed their whole fucking name. And now just this week, they're pivoting away from metaverse to AI, because of course they are. They're just chasing shit.
Yeah. Metaverse does not have a good connotation, reputation, because it never really amounted to anything, at least not in the way they envisioned it at one point. But now AI is the next big thing, according to them. That's
right.
It's really not. In fact, it's doing a lot of damage. But according to them, AI, they're kind of jumping on that train now. By the way, I started up Elder Scrolls Oblivion on Steam Deck. And the default controls really take some getting used to.
Did you try to download a community profile?
How does that, can you do that straight from how's that work?
Yeah, so you hit your, oh god, I think it's the left. Is the left one the Steam button? Yeah. So you hit that and then you go to the menu and it should say something like controls, and then you it's like either browse layouts or whatever, and then you just sort of look at the other shit that people have made for the game.
Can you go by like popularity and stuff?
I think it has an upvote system.
Yeah. I guess the only thing that would work better is like, Xbox controls, just like straight up, because the problem I'm having with default Well, first of all, I turned on auto run. That was the one change I made because it's like I can't function without auto run.
Yeah.
And then it's the mouse. The mouse is the big obstacle. Just moving the I don't even know what you call it. It's like the little pad.
The cursor? Oh,
well, no,
like
yeah, it's the little trackpad
yeah.
that moves the cursor. Is not I'm not cooperating very well with it. So I think I need to look at maybe just straight up like console controls for it, because I know those must exist because the game itself was on consoles back in the day.
Yeah, you can just for this instance, you can just blame Bethesda because they never patched in native controller support to Oblivion.
That
is
ridiculous as that is. That is wild. And it's one of those things where I'm thinking this is clunky to the point where, in the game, obviously it looks really nice and especially for one that's so old, and it's like such an ideal like handheld game.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I don't find better controls, like I almost just want to look at games on Steam that have the green check mark that are fully optimized for it, because I feel like I could run into some issues, especially as someone who doesn't like, tinker as much as you do.
Yeah. Like, so if a game even has a yellow, you could even look and see what its reasons for not getting the green are.
Yeah. I do appreciate that. It details exactly where the compatibility shortcomings are.
Yeah. For whatever reason, Steam is obsessed with, you have to bring up the virtual keyboard for text input. And that usually means that the game has you select like your name at the beginning. And so all you have to do is bring up the virtual keyboard with the shortcut and then enter your name, and then that's it. And then the game runs perfectly fine. So like the early Final Fantasy pixel remasters run as flawlessly as you'd expect for pixel games to, but they're marked as yellow because you can name your party members and you have to bring up the virtual keyboard instead of having just like a default like built-in system in the game for that.
Okay, so yeah, there are different levels of yellow then.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yeah. And like I think I mentioned this to you in a text, but that was probably a massive text that I sent you because I tend to do that. If you check Proton DB, then you could actually see if it'll have more details than the Steam checkmark system and like the other steps people have used to fix stuff. Because a lot of times it can just be like, yeah, no, this works fine. Or like just something very simple like that. Or just even like if you go into the launch options and set it to a different version of Proton, which you just do directly in the regular Steam interface. You don't even need to go into desktop mode. Then, yeah. Like it's very rare that a game just like does not work.
Like I purchased, and this wasn't like my one regrettable purchase so far was a Football Manager. Because I'll watch.
Because that's just going to be mouse.
Well, it is.
Right?
It's a lot of mouse input, and I think the description there was that the text can be too small, which I haven't run into, but I also haven't played a ton of it. I like to watch soccer and think that there are decisions that I would have made on the fly as a coach that would have worked out better. And I'm like, I wonder if I'd be in a Football Manager. But it turns out that Football Manager is just all of the in the weeds stuff of like a franchise mode in like a sports game that I always like breeze through and just skip to play the games. Except that in this game you don't actually play the game, so that's all it is. I'm sure it's very good. I just think it's not for me, and I probably shouldn't have bought it. But Steam doesn't have like a refund system, does it?
If you've played less than 2 hours, yes.
Oh shit! Oh no, wait, no. Yeah. I bought it on the Humble store because it was 10% off.
Oh, yeah.
I don't imagine they have, especially if it's a Steam key that I redeem. I think I'm stuck with it. Maybe I'll revisit.
Probably.
Maybe I'll revisit, and when I actually feel patient enough to tackle those. There's so many menus, just menu. In Football Manager, just menu after menu. Like you are thrown in the deep end. So
yeah, there's no real. That's the one thing I hate about the checkmark system is that there's no real like sense of scale for them to say that text might be too small. Like sometimes I see that I'm like, oh, okay, well, that might not be a big deal. Or it might, like in the case of the System Shock remake, where it has that and the text is fucking tiny, minuscule, impossible to see. and there is no in-game adjustment for it. But then it also has that for like, maybe not Baldur's Gate, but because that has a green check mark for some reason, even though you have to really crank down the settings for it. But like that's a game that has like text scaling adjustments, you know?
Sure.
So like it depends. There are games where it has the text is small, but then it's like, well, if it has an in-game adjustment, then what does it matter?
Yeah.
So like there's varying degrees, and that like is not conveyed in their their check mark system with the limited like responses that they have allocated for that. So that's why I always go to ProtonDB before I buy anything that I specifically know that I'm going to play on Steam Deck, like even just a little bit. But which is why, like, so there's so much you can do, because there's a set of plugins that are actually really easy to install. Like you just have to go to the desktop mode and then go to the website, download it, and then click it once, and then it installs, and then go back to the gaming mode and it's there. It's like really easy. But one of them is to just put ProtonDB in the Steam UI.
Oh, see, that's really good.
So you can just see it. You don't have to go check on your phone or whatever. There's also the How Long to Beat plugin, so you can see how long a game is.
Yeah, that's Asgard's Wrath 2. You would have had a better idea going in.
Exactly. Yeah, there's really good ones. The one that I love the most that has not, like, whoever was maintaining it just abandoned it, and nobody else has like made a new version of it, was the one that was pulling in what settings people were using per game for like better battery life and better performance, because I used the shit out of that.
Yeah,
and
that's one of the most useful.
Yeah, after a Steam update, it broke and it wasn't fixed, and so it's just gone, you know. But there's a lot of stuff like custom UI, all kinds of stuff. There's a lot you could do with it. Like if I can get an MMO from 2002 running on that damn thing, you know, like I got Morrowind running on that thing. Morrowind somehow has a native Linux version that just works as long as you install the right compatibility tool for it. And then it just downloads, instead of it downloading the Windows version, it downloads the native Linux one, and it installs it with the open source launcher, and it just fucking works.
Yeah, it's kind of incredible because you have like a full history of like video games here to work with. Yeah, it's not Nintendo Switch where you're limited to just what they publish.
You could play Switch games.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So there you go.
You can emulate Switch games.
There you go.
The last time I did that though, your battery will hate you.
Sure. Yeah.
I wonder if it's gotten like better, because I haven't done that since last year, but or I guess 2 years ago now. But yeah, there's so much shit you can do with that thing. It's crazy. And you have the OLED. I bet that looks so good. Oh man.
Yeah, I'm playing Octopath Traveler 2.
Nice.
Which the art and the OLED screen go very well together. It's a beautiful game.
Yeah, my brother got me that for Christmas. I probably would be playing that right now, but it's just an awful time for a JRPG right now.
But a great time. Well, no, you haven't. I'm sorry, I got ahead of.
Don't.
I can't remember if you've announced it or no. You haven't announced it. You can cut this.
If anybody checked the website, I did, but
okay.
Nobody checks the website.
I didn't want to jump in and be like,
no, it's good. It's fine. It's actually it's a good segue. Yeah. So I'm finally doing it. I'm finally did it all for the Moogle into its own show. So if there is a soul out there that enjoyed that segment of the latest and greatest in JRPG rambling and Fred Durst news, then boy do I have a treat for you. I would have actually recorded it today if we didn't record this today, but so yeah, that'll be out I guess the week after this comes out. Yeah, I'm really excited. It's just going to be an expanded version of the segment into its own full show, and I have some different segments for it planned. So like if you enjoyed me spending an hour talking about all the design flaws of Final Fantasy XIV, then yeah, it'll be the show for you. It's like the perfect time to launch this, because at the end of the month we have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and then the week after is Persona 3 Reload.
Wow.
Which the two of those back to back is going to kill me. But I'll have a lot to say, especially about Persona 3.
That's
I will.
Shocker.
Yeah. So yeah, the first episode will have me talking about how I'm getting all the achievements in Persona 3 Portable before Persona 3 Reload comes out because I'm a psychopath. So look forward to that on the first episode. I made like the show should technically the page for it should be live on all podcast feeds, but there is no episode yet.
Didn't you do a thing where you like platinumed Persona 5 right before Royal came out?
Yes.
Yeah, that reminded me of when you did that. So
I also platinumed Persona 4 before. Well, I tried to do it before 5 came out, and I didn't do it. So I was playing both of them simultaneously at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recommend that. Nobody do that. It was really bad. Playing 2 Persona games simultaneously. Oh, God. Yeah, so I really need to finish 3 Portable before... Yeah, I have like 2 weeks, 3 weeks to do that. What do I have? Oh, it's 2 weeks. Oh, Christ. Well, we'll see. The good thing is that I just played that last year, so I don't need to pay attention to the dialogue at all.
Oh, excellent. Yeah,
so I can just sort of breeze through. But it still takes...
Do you ever wonder
time.
why you're doing it at certain points?
Yeah, I honestly do. Yeah. In my head, I always think it's like, well, I'm never going to go back to that. And so I just like push through.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
But it's also not true because that's what I thought whenever I platinumed Persona 4 Golden and then they released it on Steam and I bought that like a chump. So like, it's not true. It's not true. You know, I'm just nuts.
You don't have to tell me that.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I'm really excited for it. So give it a subscription. It will be on the main. It'll be on the same YouTube channel because I'm not managing multiple YouTube channels. I don't want to do that. So if you're already subscribed to the YouTube or you check, that's where you get the podcast. Yeah, you'll see it there. But it will be on all the major podcast platforms as usual. So yeah, it's exciting. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. I will tune in.
Oh, okay.
I don't listen to the show when I'm a part of the show,
Right.
But I will listen to the new Moogle.
Okay, yeah.
It'll be so much better when I don't have to come up with things to say about JRPGs that I have not played. So
Yeah. I'm really like it's really sparing you. I think you're the real beneficiary here. I think.
Well, also it allows you to record podcasts more regularly.
That too. That too. Yeah.
So
yeah,
it sounds good.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Do we want to talk about some AI shit?
I thought we already were.
Yeah, but it just
seeps into everything.
Keep on coming, and they don't stop coming.
Oh, there we go.
So yeah. Great. Oh shit, I forgot. Yeah, you know what? Well, whatever.
Why? We keep the spirit alive.
It's true. And you know what? Let's hope they don't turn him into AI like they did for George Carlin, because holy fuck.
But also, wouldn't it be a little fitting this time?
Yeah, I just have just really like I don't think it should like it shouldn't happen to anybody is the thing in my eyes.
No, I agree with that. Except there's one exception, Plankton.
Okay, but Plankton's not a real god.
It's true. Well, it's a real voice actor.
Yeah.
That's being,
true.
Yeah. Plankton can belt some hard rock lyrics better than most real people.
It's true. Yeah. If the alternative is to hire Plankton's voice actor to belt out those songs or the AI do it, I would obviously take the former.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't know a realistic scenario where the former is going to take place. So we have to take what we can get.
I don't think we're gonna get that guy to sing 3 Days Grace.
Like AI, especially when it comes to art, is legitimately threatening jobs.
Yeah.
In a very real way. However, one of those jobs is not the music career of Plankton's voice actor, as far as I know.
And we've said that enough. I need to get his name. Yeah,
true.
I just typed in Plankton, like that's gonna be there.
It'd be very funny if he had like a whole music career.
List of SpongeBob characters.
Mr. Lawrence. Who's Mr. Lawrence?
Mr. Lawrence.
That's his name.
Douglas Lawrence Osowski. Known professionally as Mr. Lawrence.
That's a very cool, I guess you'd call it like stage name.
Yeah.
Just Mr. Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
Not a musician. Can confirm that.
He's from East Brunswick, New Jersey.
You're kidding me.
I'm not.
Wow. That's very cool. That's you know, I feel some pride in that.
Yeah.
Also, when I Googled Plankton voice, the first option was voice actor, and then like the third option was Plankton voice generator. So,
of course,
it's all there.
Oh man. But yeah, no, I did not have in the show notes the horrific George Carlin AI, because it bums me out too much.
Mm-hmm.
But what I did want to talk about is people posting true crime TikToks and YouTube videos, but they're using the supposed voice, but more specifically the likeness of the victims of true crimes that actually happened, that actually occurred, to narrate their own stories.
Wow. So this is very interesting because it's a step further than something that we covered previously, which was like TikToks in the true crime sphere that were seemingly AI generated. Certainly the voiceover narration that was meant to resemble like a news segment.
Yeah.
But AI generated and mostly nonsensical, and problematically they, you know, made for just seemingly like cheap monetization reasons, or, you know, exploitative and cheap and lousy. But this like takes it an even step further.
Yes. I got this from a Washington Post article from Jennifer Hassan. This was posted back in August, and somehow it slipped past me. But yeah, there's like one TikTok video, for example, has the likeness of a British 2-year-old who was abducted in 1993 as his mother paid for groceries. Like these aren't even like I guess famous crimes, right? You know, it's like, why do you need to have a bizarre puppetry cyber version of a deceased 2-year-old?
Well, the answer is you don't.
Right, but like, what is that? Like, it's of course emotional manipulation.
Yeah.
But like, what are you thinking doing something like that? There's a quote here. If my mom had turned right, I could have been alive today. Unfortunately, she turned left, is what apparently the childlike voice says. Like, Jesus fucking Christ.
This is one of the worst things, and we cover a lot of rough things on the internet. This might take it.
Mm-hmm. Quote from the article: a TikTok spokesperson described the content about James, which was the child that was kidnapped, disturbing, saying there is no place on the platform for such posts. Our community guidelines are clear that we do not allow synthetic media that contains the likeness of a young person. That's still just like vague enough to be like, okay, but like what's the hard and fast? Synthetic media that contains the likeness of a young person. How young? Does that really mean under 18? Does that mean a minor?
Right.
You know? But like, can you do this with other dead people if they're not minors? You know? Like what?
Yeah, and it's one of those things where you can almost, I mean, of course, this platform is trying to cover itself, but it's like an emergent thing, right? There really isn't much precedent for this type of thing. So to have like a hard rule set, it's probably evolving as like the ways that people like exploit the technology continues to evolve, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Here was another one showing an image of a British 3-year-old who disappeared from a Portuguese resort in 2007. The child says, "I'm still missing." TikTok video, which the Post reviewed, had been viewed tens of thousands of times before TikTok removed it. The owner of the account had written alongside the video that it was an attempt at, quote, immersive storytelling.
Oh, yeah.
Now, you might have thought that this is all horrific, right?
Yeah.
Using kidnapped, deceased, missing children, reanimating them in a cruel facsimile of life to get TikTok views is bad enough on its own. Here's another quote from the article. Another video shows the likeness of Anne Frank advertising baby clothes before discussing the horrors of the Holocaust. What are we doing?
What are
we doing?
I don't know what to say because I didn't see that one coming.
I didn't either when I was reading this. Okay. I actually forgot about this. So, I browsed the Meta Quest app store. There's like the usual, there's like a YouTube, there's games, there's like immersive 360 video, whatever the hell. There's some kind of meditation thing. There's an Anne Frank experience.
Just going to let that sit for a second. Although this podcast cuts out the silence, so it won't have the same effect. Okay. All right.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, is this some kind of cruel joke? And no, I think it was in conjunction with a Holocaust memorial museum.
Okay.
Where you go into a digital recreation of her room, and you could read her diary and look at photos. But even so, it's a lot, and I just couldn't believe it's like next to like shitty Minecraft clones, and like, oh, this makes you feel like you're on weed in VR, like like
yeah, it's the context is not.
Yeah, just I don't know. And so I'm not saying it's quite the same as trying to sell baby clothes on TikTok Shop using a digital recreation of Anne Frank.
No, I think those are the two very distinct experiences.
You could if you want to experience Anne Frank. Unfortunately, there are multiple ways to do that in our current digital landscape. Do you remember when? I don't know why I have so much Anne Frank content, but do you remember when Justin Bieber visited the Anne Frank Museum and he wrote in the guest book something along the lines of "Shout out to Anne Frank, she would have been a belieber." Do you remember that?
I don't. Not at all.
I do, and I think about it more often than I probably need to. Anyway, but on TikTok, you can hear Anne Frank say, "Are you still looking for beautiful and self-designed baby clothes? Then go to the link in my bio and let yourself be surprised. And now I'll tell you the story of Anne Frank." What the fuck?
This makes me feel less bad about how far off the deep end my, or at least how far I thought my TikTok algorithm had gone. Haven't gotten to this area of the void.
Yeah. Even if you were simultaneously trying to get views on TikTok in order to sell your dropship shit on TikTok Shop, what would possess you to think that a dead Holocaust victim would be the right spokesperson for said merchandise?
My guess would either be, and this is probably giving far too much credit, shock value or, headline worthiness. Like turning that into a story that, maybe like, for example, a small niche podcast would then talk about. Because I know no other explanation. She's an, significant historical figure. There's name recognition, it's attention grabbing.
Trying to use Anne Frank's clout to boost your shit is, I think, a little different than like a President's Day Toyota sale, I think it's a little different.
Yeah, it is. It's a different approach. Is it harmful? Is my question, and I don't even know if I should. Is it harmful?
Yeah.
Okay, it is harmful. All right, I just wanted to confirm.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Like this is like again, I keep going back to like president. Like this is not the Hall of the Presidents at fucking Epcot.
No, you're right. I guess compared to the unequivocally horrendous AI true crime stuff that came before it, I'm like, well, this is kind of almost amusing, but it's not. But
it's just it's funny in that sick way of how fucking surreal it is.
Yeah, no, true. It's like where we're at with the internet right now, and it's a perfect example of that.
Yeah. And so I have another piece here from The Verge. Mia Sato is the writer of this one. So YouTube is now saying that they're taking a hard stance against AI true crime. Verge calls them deepfakes, I guess. Which, like, it almost seems redundant to me to call them deepfakes because, like, sort of the point of a deepfake is to, like, sort of, like, pull the wool over somebody's eyes, you know? Like, you made Biden say something, that makes him seem incompetent or something. You know what I mean? Like,
and
like,
that wasn't even a deepfake, it turns out.
Exactly.
Just a normal news clip.
No, exactly. But that's the thing. Is like
it's
like,
believable. It's
believable.
Yes.
Whenever you are recreating a victim of a murder, it is quite literally obvious that that is not that person.
Yeah, of course.
So I just have an issue with, like, I guess the problem is that we don't have the right language for this bullshit. So like it being a deep fake is odd to me.
Well, that's almost what I meant by the TikTok like guidelines or whatever, not having the language to sort of combat just this really specific awfulness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think maybe they'll get there, but right now it's so, I don't know. It's like this thing that you never expect to encounter is now just appears on the most popular social media platform.
Well, then let's see what YouTube has to say.
Okay.
YouTube is updating its cyberbullying and harassment policies that will no longer allow content that, quote, realistically simulates minors and other victims of crimes narrating their deaths or the violence they experience. Okay. So this goes even further than, I guess, AI, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
Like you could technically make this by hand if you were a real creep, I guess. I don't know. Like, and it would still be against their policy now. YouTube's policy will result in a strike that removes the content from a channel and also temporarily limits what a user can do on the platform. First strike limits users from uploading videos for a week. If the policy is violated again within 90 days, penalties increase with the eventual possibility of having the entire channel removed. Seems a little lenient, but I don't know. That might just be me.
Yeah, I don't know if there needs to be a strike system unless there is only one strike.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it should be kind of pretty.
Yeah. And they also said that YouTube itself announced a strict policy around AI voice clones of musicians with a set of looser rules for everyone else. I'm actually not familiar with those. This is from November, also from The Verge. Let's see. YouTube will require creators to begin labeling realistic AI-generated content when they're uploading videos, and that the disclosure requirement is especially important for topics like elections and ongoing conflicts. Labels will appear in video descriptions and on top of videos themselves for sensitive material, but there's not a specific definition of what YouTube thinks is realistic.
Well, that one, the wording in that one
problem.
is specifically targeted for like news misinformation.
Okay, but then again, like if we go back to the Joe Biden thing, right? Like if you make an AI video of him saying something outlandish, there's a gray area in the word realistic.
Oh, true.
Like unless they completely define what that means, like they have to do that.
True.
Otherwise, company will provide more detailed guidance with examples when the disclosure requirement rolls out next year. Well, this was in November. Okay, well, we're here. We're fucking here. It's the future, man. Penalties could include takedowns and demonetization. It's not clear how YouTube will know if an unlabeled video was generated by AI. Great.
You know, I do want to clarify something. I just want to say it's definitely not good to try and profit off the likeness of Anne Frank. I realize.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm coming around on that one.
Yeah. Glad you got there.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. This shit is rough.
It's brutal. It's brutal. It kind of speaks to it how the Anne Frank one was the most seemingly mundane of all these stories. Like it's awful.
Yeah.
I'm curious who gets these on their feed. Is it people who are deep into like your more mainstream true crime content that kind of just like, you know, get to this after a few specific likes? Like, I don't know, like who's, because you said one of these had like tens of thousands of views.
Yeah, before it was removed.
It was removed, yeah.
And those were TikTok views, so who the fuck knows?
True, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, especially like I still don't understand TikTok as a platform, but so like I don't watch true crime stuff myself. My dad does. He's big into it. But, and I talked to my sister about this because I got recommended a Pittsburgh specific true crime video that was about a case that happened while we were in college. And I know about it because I did research into it and looked into it at the time because there were conspiracy theories about it and about how it was tied into a serial killer or a cult that was going throughout the Midwest, kidnapping boys in their late teens, early 20s, and leaving smiley faces behind. And it's total bullshit. The case specifically, the Pittsburgh one, was just this kid who just he was either on drugs or like was having some kind of mental crisis. And he went out and he got like either lost or disoriented in a Pittsburgh winter and like ended up in the river, you know, like it's a terrible story. And like to just see like the video like wind up on my feed like almost 10 years after the fact.
Yeah.
Trying to like just spin it into some kind of far reaching, like, and I didn't watch the video because I know what it was going to be about based on the title and everything, you know. It was like basically saying like, did the police miss something in this case? Right. You know, it was something like that. And it's like, yeah, maybe because they're fucking cops, but like, no, like this was just an unfortunate tragedy for a young man. Like, can you leave him alone now though? Yeah. Well, that's the through line. The through line with all of this is that it's just exploitation and like in its like cheapest and like grossest form. Yeah. You know, I just have a really, really strong like aversion to not letting the dead rest. Like, why can't you just like fucking leave them alone? And whatever form that is. No, because there are views to be had. Yeah, like even people in the fucking like public eye is one thing, but just like regular ass people that didn't ask for this when they were alive and literally cannot ask for it when they're dead. And then to go so far as to do that with children. It's like what would you like? How would you react if that was your child, right? That you lost somehow and you see an awful recreation of them, a digital homunculus that's being able to made say whatever the fuck it wants by some anonymous just scum of the earth. They can make them sell bullshit goods from China on TikTok shop just because they downloaded Stable Diffusion or whatever. It's very bleak. It's bad. It's very, very bleak. And just like seeing the fact that it's like, well, we need to put generative AI in literally everything because this is where the money is. Like I just put something up for sale on eBay and it's like, oh, write your description with AI. It's like, well, why does this need to be here? Why did you waste your time with this? Let's not even get into the fact that supposedly ChatGPT-4, their latest and greatest model, is magnitudes stupider than it was just months ago. It's getting stupider. It's getting more shit wrong. And now just this week that we're recording this, all of a sudden, all these big brained tech genius billionaires that we have to pay attention to every single fucking word that they say. There's a lot of air quotes being used, I'd imagine, if this was not an audio podcast. Completely. If it's not coming through my inflection, it's just because we've been recording for 2 hours. All these fucking geniuses, all these incredible thinkers, right? That we are forced to listen to, forced to gargle their shit, just this week are now saying all at the same time, for whatever reason, that AGI is coming soon-ish, TM. And what that means is that supposedly an intelligence that is capable of performing tasks at a human level or slightly above a human level is coming soon. It's like, yeah, okay, sure it is. It just seems like they got the fish and they need to keep reeling it in. Yeah, very much so. So it's just a weird coincidence that the douche from OpenAI and then Zuckerberg just this week suddenly started talking about AGI when they weren't before. Weird shit, huh? As GPT-4 is getting stupider, which is hard to believe. Shit sucks. Yeah, this is maybe our bleakest. No, we've had some rough ones. Yeah, I shouldn't say that because then you think back to some of the stuff we've covered here and it's, you know. I might need to take a break from the segment though. It's getting to that crypto point. Yeah, like, it's so much of this stuff is so stupid and so pervasive that I'm like, I've had enough. And I really do need to stress once again, Anne Frank exploitation is bad. You can't see it and probably can't hear it because of my noise gate, but I'm clapping. Okay. I was like, okay, is it relatively
Is it just silly? But then you had your whole point about letting the dead rest, and it's like that. Yeah, that's right there with all that. So, yeah, it's bad stuff. Just, you know, I my recommendation and something I'm trying to do is to read more books. And sort of do that in place of just being on the internet as much. Is that going to combat all of this? No, but it's, you know, it's something.
Yeah, that's always my advice. Not like I have a vested interest or anything. But,
yeah, read more books. Yes, of course.
Yeah. I'm like the fucking farmers in the Got Milk campaign. We don't have to talk about it on the podcast, but I did get a new e-reader.
Oh,
I'm very happy about.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
What does this one do?
It runs Android.
Okay. I mean, I know, like, has the technology, like, they've been doing stuff with that, right?
Yeah, like I still don't think color is there yet.
Okay.
So I didn't go for a color.
Unfortunately, the time that was sort of in the realm of possibility, I was a big comic book reader, and by the time it has come to fruition, I've long since stopped suffering.
Yeah.
The main, I mean, it has other uses, obviously, but the one that comes to mind is of course, you know, comic books.
Yeah. This one, like, I don't even really notice the page refreshes.
Oh.
Because it has like a dedicated mobile GPU. That the page refresh is like so good.
What is the device?
It's an Onyx Books with an X.
Okay.
Page, I believe, is the model. Because they have so goddamn many models. Because they're also in like the e-ink, like dedicated tablet space as well. But I just wanted a new e-reader. This one is in the same form factor as a Kindle Oasis, which is what I had previously. But it's so thin. Oh my God. But yeah, like, so it runs Android. It came with the Play Store, so you're not locked into any ecosystem.
Good.
So
if you want to, you could download, you know, Libby, or you could download the Amazon, like the Kindle app or all that. It's like kind of an all-encompassing thing. That's pretty cool.
Yep. Oh, and it even has a SD card slot.
Oh, good.
Like you probably won't fill it up with
just
books
anyway,
yeah,
of course.
But like just in general. So yeah, I'm happy with it. I like it a lot.
Nice.
I was potentially going to do a worst beats this week, but prepping for the other podcast, I did not finish because we talked a long time ago about when we did the segment again that maybe I would try my hand at making a worst beat in the world. But then I think we did the segment again and I had forgotten about it. But then it was like, I don't know. I was like in the shower or something. I don't remember. But then like an idea came to me.
You had an actual shower thought.
I had a shower thought. And so then I had to reinstall GarageBand.
Oh boy. Boy, oh boy.
Boy, I guess it's not surprising to anybody else, but that program has really progressed in the last 18 years.
Oh, since like what? Late elementary school computer class?
Since I last had a Mac.
Yeah.
And used GarageBand on it. Yeah.
But this is not ready yet, though.
No, I did not finish.
Okay.
Yeah. So that'll have to be for next
Something
time.
to look forward to, for sure.
Something to look forward to.
In this broken world of ours.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it might end up making the world a little worse, but that's not the goal, but it might be that bad. Who knows?
You need to transcend bad and get to the other side. That's when you know you have something.
Well, this is my first attempt, you know.
Okay.
So I don't know if I
don't want to put that much pressure.
Yeah. So we'll see. We shall see.
Art is subjective anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. So do we want to talk about some sports?
Yeah, I just put a couple, things here.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot going on, but I was under the weather and I was watching a lot of sports, and it happened to coincide with the the NFL playoffs, wild card weekends. I watched the entire Steelers and Bills game.
Oh, you watched more than I did then.
Yeah, I watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
Even at 21-0, I was like, well, they're not out of it fully. And it turns out they weren't. It turns out they weren't.
Yeah,
they made a game of it. I think it was like one possession into the fourth quarter. So, but yeah, it was very. Wait, sorry, go ahead.
They got screwed on the one interception, but
they got screwed on many things throughout this game.
Yeah.
There's just like an all-encompassing like rejection of the Pittsburgh Steelers happening.
Yeah.
Whether it's the broadcasters, the officiating, sometimes the actual fans throwing things.
Yeah, that was yeah.
So just for context, this was a game taking place in Buffalo. It was scheduled to happen on a Sunday, but because of the winter storm, it got pushed to the following day so they could clear out all the stands and sell concessions and get the crowd in there.
They did not clear out the stands.
Oh no, the fans tried to. Some of them brought shovels. The venue did not clear them out. They had, I think, unpaid volunteers.
No, they were paying them $20 an hour, apparently.
Oh, I hear the term volunteers, and I figure they're not getting anything. But honestly, could be worse.
Yeah, well, you see what kind of job they did, though. Which was, they didn't.
I mean, it was a lot of snow. It's a big stadium.
The seats were buried.
True. This was very problematic because, so for example, the Bills had a play that resulted in a touchdown, and it was a pass into the end zone. And while the ball is in midair and the Steelers defender is trying to defend, a snowball comes into the frame.
Yeah.
like the Bills fans are throwing snowballs at the opposition players and not a thing was done about it.
Yeah, you know what used to happen was that the refs would make an announcement and say that if it doesn't stop, that the home team would get a 15-yard penalty. That's
fair. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But instead we get a Bills touchdown.
Yeah.
It was so blatant that the broadcasters, which I will get to them, they are also to blame here. The broadcasters confused the snowball for a penalty flag.
Okay.
So
is this a yellow snow joke?
No, it's not. It actually happened. Like Jim Nantz was like, oh, thought that was a flag. It was just somebody throwing a snowball. And then Tony Romo laughed for like a few seconds. And then he realized, oh, that's not good to laugh at. And then he didn't condone it. But boy, did he find it amusing at first. That was his raw reaction there. And, you know, he had a lot of
dome quarterback.
He had a lot of energy. Yeah, right. He had a lot of energy for Josh Allen and the Bills. He really mustered up some really good calls for them. But boy, when the Steelers got into the end zone, there was just crickets.
Yeah,
crickets. They could barely even muster up anything. It was a very, very biased broadcast team.
Well, yeah. So like, I don't think the NFL was ready for the Steelers to even make the playoffs.
True,
because they squeaked in.
They had to win like three in a row just to get there.
They won three in a row, but then who was it had to lose? Jacksonville had to lose for them to get in, and then they did. So it wasn't even technically the Steelers' own fully. Like they still had to win out, but they still needed some help to get there. So they were not ready for the Steelers to even make the playoffs. Then they were not ready for them to play the Bills because the Dolphins choked their last game against the Bills.
That's right. The Bills were 6-6
they had a big lead
at one point, and they have not lost since then. So it was a very, very long shot that they would have won this division and set this matchup up. You're right.
What the NFL wanted was a Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen rematch.
Well, they're getting that next.
Which they're getting.
And that's what they were rooting. Okay, see, this makes a lot of sense. They were rooting for that actively, blatantly.
They did not want to see a Steelers team led by Mason Rudolph.
Which, to be fair, nobody does. But,
no.
Yeah, that was very clear.
A Steelers team without TJ Watt due to injury advancing in the playoffs.
Yeah. But do you have to? I understand that, but do you have to show it as much as they showed it?
What, the injury?
No, just their blatant.
Because they showed that a lot.
Just their blatant rooting interests.
Oh yeah, they don't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah, they really don't care.
Do you know who was in attendance for that game in Buffalo?
Wait, let me.
Surprisingly,
No, I don't know.
The commissioner.
Oh, he braved the...
Well, he braved the elements. Why would he brave the elements like that? Normally he's hanging out in Dallas, or Florida. Why is he in Buffalo? Weird. Huh. I don't know.
I mean, I was getting upset, and I'm not even a Steelers fan.
Yeah. I kind of don't give a shit because the NFL is bullshit.
It is.
And like they said, the Steelers shouldn't really have been in the playoffs. They squeaked in, although if they would have won against either the 2 and whatever Patriots or the 2 and whatever Arizona Cardinals, like they should have, they would have been in by default.
I actually don't agree with you that the Steelers shouldn't have been there. I think they are on the uptick, or am I too optimistic? And I think like they could have, on a level playing field, they actually could have easily, they were competitive. They could have beaten Buffalo.
Yes. If we got to play in the snow, we would have won.
Oh, yeah.
But
I believe that.
We were robbed of that.
Which, was that the NFL's choice, or was it a upstate New York thing?
It was supposedly in coordination with the governor of New York.
Yeah, I heard that. This goes all the way to the top, doesn't it?
It does. But NFL headquarters is also in New York. So they could bite my ass.
Yeah. I mean, I was not a neutral observer because I, as a Jets fan, I have a strong dislike of everything Buffalo. I don't like their culture over there. I think their head coach is a dreadful human being. Just don't like the whole vibe. So, and of course, we haven't talked about what the coach, his whole 9/11 thing.
Oh God, no.
We didn't talk about that on the podcast, but he basically, in one of his locker room speeches a few years ago, this came out, he likened his aspirations for teamwork to resemble that of the plane hijackers from 9/11.
Yes.
And he still has a job. So, he's still doing that same job today, even though that came out. So that's crazy to me.
Yeah, he wanted them to have the coordination of the 9/11 hijackers.
Yes.
Yeah, which is an insane thought to have.
Yes. And then to verbalize
to say
it
out loud.
Yeah.
And then 3, they're not New York City. They're still in the state. Thing to say there.
They played this year on 9/11 against the Jets.
Of course they did.
Now this quote, they did. And this quote happened a few years ago, but that did happen.
Oh God, that was the Aaron Rodgers game, wasn't it?
It was.
Oh, of course. Oh shit.
We don't need to. Boy, am I over him, by the way. I thought he.
Oh yeah.
So here was my rationale with Aaron Rodgers was he was awful.
How's that jersey hanging?
Oh, it's not a jersey. It's not a jersey. It was a cheap T-shirt. It's in the back. It's in the far reaches of the closet. There's cobwebs.
Next to the Sanchez.
No, there was never.
Next to the Favre. Okay, next to the Favre.
See, that's not fair. I was in like middle school when I got that Favre jersey, and I don't even know where it is anymore. And if I did, I would burn it because he's scum of the earth.
I got a Roethlisberger somewhere.
There you go. See, all right.
Yeah.
There's no winners when it comes to.
No, there's really not. There's really not.
So I thought my thinking was like, okay, Rodgers was problematic and awful in Green Bay, but that's because he was disgruntled and he didn't like the organization. And you know what? When he comes to New York, he's turning over a new leaf. And in the summer, he was like really buddy with like the young Jets players, whereas he would just like tear the rookies to shreds in Green Bay. I'm like, maybe he really is turning a corner.
He'd waited his whole life to be a New York Jets.
Yeah, it all culminated. But then he went on TV again, and I'm like, well, yeah, there's nothing has changed here. And as a fan of this team, I'm gonna have to continue to endure him for I don't even know how long. Like, he's under contract for next year. Yeah. But like, he's delusional, so he'll probably want to play till he's 50. Like, I don't see an end to this anytime soon. This wasn't
but he's there every Tuesday.
My favorite part was that he got removed from the Pat McAfee show, and then the next day it was announced that he was back.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, I just can't. It's awful.
Because that's that audience.
Oh, completely.
That's the audience that loved when he called Jimmy Kimmel. Was it Jimmy
Kimmel?
It
was Jimmy
Which
Kimmel,
Jimmy?
yeah.
called him a pedophile.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's he's preaching to his specific choir over there. If I could root for a different team, I would. It's just it's not possible. I feel nothing towards any. I've tried. I've been like, maybe I could get into like, you know, like what's a fun team? Like get into the Chargers, not a fun team, but they were at one point. No, just can't do it. And really the solution is just to stop watching football. For many reasons.
They're trying to make it easy to stop watching football, by the way.
Yeah, they are. Nothing about the Kansas City game felt safe to me. Well, nothing about football is safe, but especially when you have the feel of negative almost 30 degrees.
Yeah.
But that's more of a climate crisis issue. The Steelers game was, I mean, you know, there was the snowballs while trying to defend in the end zone. You had the inexplicable pick and fumble. They ruled it.
That was insane.
That was wild to me. How
they changed what a catch is.
Yeah.
No matter what, like whatever they feel like.
Whatever they feel like. Depending on the day, on who it is.
They were trying to say that he lunged, so then that must have meant he caught it.
He was literally just in the process of making a catch. What do your legs have
to do with whether you have the ball or not?
I know. I was like losing it over that because it reminded me of what was that infamous, like, was it the Calvin Johnson, like that Pickens? Am I getting his name right? Is it Pickens or Pickens?
Pickens.
He's only one of the most talented players in football. The Pickens, quote unquote, fumble, I feel like years ago, if it was in the end zone, it would have not even been a touchdown or
they changed
catch.
That too now.
Oh, did they?
Sometimes it's like, oh yeah, all you have to do is break the plane. Now sometimes you have to survive the ground. Sometimes you can juggle it. Like they don't. Oh well, he got 2 feet in, so that means the play's over. Sometimes you still need to complete the process of a catch. It's all made up.
It's all made up. Which, to be fair, that happens in a lot of sports, but I feel like it's so blatant here.
But it's such a fundamental part of the sport.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Especially with how pass heavy it's become. And it's just like, let's just fucking wing it.
So, like, you know, he's in the process of making a catch. He's falling to the ground. Gravity is in play here. There's some physics happening. He's coming to the ground, but he doesn't fully retain the football, and it falls to the ground. And that's an incomplete pass. Like any day, in my opinion, any day of the week. Like I don't, and that directly resulted in a Bills touchdown right afterwards. And when you have such a high powered offense like the Bills, like how do you come back from that? You don't is the answer, because they didn't. And they almost did. Like I respect the Steelers. Like they hung in there for so long. They were the better team in the second half. You're going up against so much there.
There was that red zone interception where they just like didn't call the pass interference on the guy that caught the interception.
True. There was that too. See, yeah, like these, I think Mike Tomlin said it where he was like the turnovers were the difference.
Well,
which is an obvious thing, but also the turnovers were cheap and unfair. So yeah, it's not good. Way to like humiliate one of the up and coming stars of your league on national TV by calling that a fumble. Like he clearly did not fully recover from that the rest of the game. Like he was upset about it. By the way,
did not have a fumble all year.
Yeah, and that's the first quarter, and that messed him up. You could tell it messed him up. And it wasn't a fumble. Awful. But, they got their matchup. They got their Chiefs and Bills.
Yep. That's all they wanted.
It's like, who am I rooting against more? I don't even know. I don't like the celebrity spectacle of the Chiefs, but I hate the culture and the organization of the Bills. So like I just don't know who's the lesser of two evils there. And by the time this podcast goes out, by the way, this will have been decided. But it's pretty bad.
I think we did a show.
I think so.
Yeah. First one of whatever year this is.
We haven't quite figured that out.
Yeah. We got our top people on it. I think I did my big announcement I was going to say at the beginning, but it wasn't at the beginning. It was somewhere in there. But yeah, I do have a couple other notes. So I wish I knew this sooner, but like the last 5-ish episodes, didn't get pushed to Spotify for some reason. But that should be fixed and should be all good moving forward.
You can marathon them now.
You can go through all 97 of those suckers.
Well, I just meant the last 5. I'm assuming they all came out like simultaneously.
Yes, but they're all ordered or like they're dated properly. So I don't know what happened.
Yeah, that's
Spotify
weird.
Sucks. And I mentioned at some point in last year, I'm going to put some old writing up on the site. And if you go to denroad.media, it'll be under the fiction vertical at the top. Even if I do put poetry up there, it just makes it easier for navigation. And so that's what I started to do and will continue to do.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah, and you can subscribe to the site. I won't spam you. I won't send you reminder emails like some conspiracy theorists do.
This is the third.
This is the third time I've sent you this poem, so you better read it. No, I won't do that. Yeah, so go ahead, check it out, denroad.media. The site looks a lot better than it used to. It also runs better. Everything is nice and clean. You could find very handy links to the podcasts. Yeah, it looks nice. And like I mentioned, we'll be launching Did It All for the Moogle, its own standalone show, most likely the week following when this episode goes out. So check that out in your favorite podcast app of choice or the YouTube channel, Dead End Road. You'll find it. So you'll get you there. Because I had to do a weird search to try to find it. Because for some reason I wasn't logged in on a device. And I was like, oh, I need to find the channel real quick. And then I just did a search for Dead End Road and it got me there. It's that easy. So yeah. And you can also check out the YouTube for clips, segment breakouts, all kinds of fun stuff. Because Google did a very fun thing and we're like, hey, we're getting rid of Google Podcasts. That's great. You can now just put them on YouTube. It's like, I was already doing that, you fuckers. Why are you getting rid of a potential avenue in your search terms?
They've had
podcasts?
the weirdest, I want to say like decade now, of not knowing what to do with music or audio.
It sucks so hard.
It's just so strange.
Google Play Music was the best music app because you could just upload your own shit and also stream shit you didn't have. It was great. And back whenever I was still buying music, you could also buy music and you could get CD quality instead of that shit that Apple was giving at the time, which was less. And it was actually DRM free through Google, which was nuts. And they got rid of that for YouTube Music, which blows chunks. I hate it so bad. But yeah, anyway, Google Podcast doesn't exist, but now the show in an audio form is on YouTube and YouTube Music, even though it kind of already was. It's complicated. The show it exists. So will the new one. Yeah, and if you have a specific app that it's somehow not reaching, but you're still hearing me say this somehow, let me know. Send an email, podcast@denroad.media. I will put it wherever you need it to be. I will literally send you a Google Drive link to download it. Like, if you need to get the show somehow, I will get you the show. But yeah, I think that's it. I can't talk anymore. I have nothing more to say. We will see you in the next one or over on Did It All for the Moogle.
Yeah, I can imagine one of those is coming next.
It is, yes. If you also have the same exact kind of brain rot I do, in which case you should probably not listen to podcasts. You should see a doctor. All right, that's enough. Goodbye.